All right. So welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Harry Benjamin. For those who may not know the name, we're leading what's called the Wealth Creation Project. We're literally helping people around the world to eliminate the blockades and obstructions that we placed in our own way that will interfere with us being able to have the lifestyles that we desire and to live the way we truly want to live. So we come together a few times a week. We also come together on a Sunday to help one another in areas that have been holding us back without us realizing that it has been doing it. So we do a business as well, but we also focus a lot on personal development, and we flesh that out, and we seek to go a little bit deeper than just looking at our personality structure, which is one aspect of ourselves, but we truly go beyond the personality structure to look at some of the beliefs that we carry that are interfering with us being able to truly function the way we're designed to function. So we're seeking to uncover more so the truth about ourselves, the way we're really designed to operate, so that we can come into correct alignment. And by coming into correct alignment, we can function much more effectively and be able to accomplish our dreams and our goals with less obstacles and obstructions and with more ease and more grace. All right, so this discussion that we're having on this channel on Zoom is designed for that purpose, for us to be able to uncover, discover, and remove some of the obstacles and hindrances that we have so that we can flow, we can live in a life of flow, all right? And I promised you guys that some really wonderful speakers are going to be joining us over time that I'm friends with. Yesterday, I started off with another life coach in Africa. He's the #1 life coach in Africa. He's the chairman of the Life Coaches Association in Africa. And he's going to come on this channel and talk to us as well. And he's also joined our team. And we started launching yesterday, and he's going to really do it in a big way. So I'm very excited about that as well. So our team is growing and expanding, and we will see some really great things happening over the next 3 months to a year, beautiful things happening. So let's talk a bit about what it means to be asleep. What does it mean to be asleep, right? Last week we spoke about, are you awake, right? Last week, Sunday, we spoke about, are you awake? And this week we're talking about, are you asleep, right? So we need to dive into that. And, as we have started now, let's just dive right in and have that question come to the surface, all right? What does it mean to be asleep? Anybody wants to go ahead and jump in? We're interactive here. And as we grow, just so you know, as we grow, we're going to have to assign people co-hosts so that they can unmute. And then the larger group of people will be unmuted and have to raise their hands. But at this stage, we're not doing it in that way. Just keep your line muted while you're not speaking. If you're not speaking, just mute your line. And if you need to ask a question, you can unmute or raise your hand. But remember that as we grow, we're going to have to select some people who will be on a panel, and then others will be able to raise their hand. But right now, we are opened it pretty much because we're usually around 15, 20, 25 people that will jump on here on a Sunday. But as we grow, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to grow, we'll have to restrict that. All right. So for now, take advantage of it. Go ahead, unmute yourself. What does it mean to be asleep? Somebody unmute and tell me. You could turn on your camera if you'd like to. We'd love to see your beautiful self. If you do not want to turn on your camera, we understand. All right. But if you want to turn on your camera, please go ahead and do so. Anyone wants to go ahead and go ahead. Jane, you're unmuted. Do you want to say what you believe being asleep is?
No, I'm at work. I just got it.
Okay, all right. You could mute yourself. All right. Anyone else wants to say, what being asleep means to you? What does it mean to you to be asleep? Somebody unmute and tell me. Anybody, just jump right in. Pick the order.
I would say unconscious of your environment or what's going on in your life around you. You're asleep. And so you're unconscious of what's going on while you're asleep.
All right. So you're sleeping and you're not consciously of what's happening around you. All right. That's beautiful. One way of looking at being asleep. Anyone else wants to put your perspective on what does it mean to be asleep? Anyone else? What does it mean to you to be asleep? That's Robert. Thank you, Robert, for your willingness to always be jumping in. And, participation is how we grow, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, Abigail.
I would try, but being asleep, I can say the way Robert said, that you are not aware of anything, because when you sleep, you don't know anything at all around you. You are just sleeping peacefully, and you can't do anything. You can't, even if somebody come and do things, when you are deep asleep, you can't even realize what is going on. So asleep, I can say like that. Some of it will depend on which sleep, because asleep is a sign of resting, and sleep is even that's when the body builds itself. So I don't know which category I would put that sleep. We have so many things which goes on when you are sleeping. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate you sharing that. That's one more perspective. Could we get a third? Could we get a third person who would be willing to jump in and just say, from your perspective, what does it mean? Go ahead, Scholar.
Yes. Good morning, family. I could say to be asleep, it means like Robert and Abigail just shared, going to be asleep at night, and you don't know what's going on around you. Another way of being asleep is, like, for example, we are here building Extreme, and some people might at one point come and tell us, hey, what have you been doing to yourself? Well, I've been sleeping, I didn't know what's going on. You people have been building, and I didn't know. That's another way of sleeping, because you are not awake fully to develop yourself, economically or physically or spiritually. You're just there. So you are asleep. You're not awake. That's what I could say. And I thank you, Dr. Benjamin. I get the caller back to you.
Thank you very much, Scholar, for jumping in. To go a little bit deeper with that. That's nice.
Another thing I can say, asleep is you are like you are dead. You don't know anything around you. That's what I wanted to add on top, like a dead person, knowing nothing. But you are breathing, but I mean, dead, you don't know what's going on around you.
All right. So let's look at something like the war in Ukraine, right? Where Russia is now invading Ukraine, and they're killing people, and a lot of innocent people are dying. Would you see, when we look at being awake or asleep, right? If you look at somebody, do you believe someone like, let's use someone like Nelson Mandela or Gandhi? If you know about Gandhi's story, when they had a sit-in and instead of getting bombs and guns to kill the people from the United Kingdom that had invaded their country to colonize and literally enslave its people, instead of doing a violent rebellion, they actually did a peaceful rebellion by sitting down and doing nothing, and it drove the English out of the colonization of India. So he used a peaceful way of getting what it is that he wanted done without doing the bombing. Now, when you look at a leader like Gandhi, a leader like Nelson Mandela that came out of jail and he led South Africa into a better day, or you look at Martin Luther King that led the civil rights movement in America and did not do it with any violence. What would you say? Do you believe that a Martin Luther King or a Gandhi or a Mandela would have done what Putin is doing? Let's look at those two examples. I'm using three different people as examples that led revolutions compared to what Putin is leading right now. Or when USA invaded Iraq, what do you think about the idea of being awake versus being asleep with those type of leaders? Anyone wants to throw a perspective in there? All right, so let me share with you the idea of being asleep versus being awake. Now, the physical side to it is that when we go to bed at night, we could say that we're asleep. We're not physically conscious about what's around us. But there's a level of becoming awake, and we spoke about it last week, about waking up to a higher dimension of ourselves. What happens is that when we see ourselves as only human beings, we become concerned about what could happen if we die. We become concerned about protecting certain things. We become concerned about trying to be one nation that's stronger than another nation. We become concerned about these lesser things in our life. And what happens is that when we live from that space, what we're doing, and somebody could type this in the chat for me, when we live as only a human being, we are walking around, right? Walking around asleep. We're walking asleep. Somebody could type it. Walking asleep, dreaming we are awake. Let's talk about that. Walking asleep, dreaming we are awake. All right? Walking asleep, dreaming we're awake. Let's look at Putin. He's trying to dominate the area. He's trying to get back land. He's trying to get back resources for securing Russia, right? So would you say that he's an awakened individual who is concerned about the whole planet, concerned about all citizens, or is he sleeping? Is he somebody who's walking asleep, dreaming he's awake? Because what he's doing is that he's killing other people to secure his fortune. Whereas a leader like a Gandhi, a leader like a Martin Luther King, a leader like a Nelson Mandela, they also secured people's rights. They also secured people's future, but they did it in a non-violent way. They did it without violence because they were awakened to a higher order of being where it gave them a level of strength, it gave them a level of peace of mind, it gave them a level of love, unconditional love for humanity. I remember the story about Martin Luther King when he was leading the civil rights movement. And I want to ask, he's walking asleep. Thank you, Milka. He's walking asleep, dreaming he's awake, thinking that he has enemies in Kazakhstan and that country that they invaded, Russia. Remind me of the country. But the point is that we have these two different dimensions of being. We can literally be awake, literally awake and alive to the spiritual nature that we are and realize that we're one with everyone. Because if Putin knew from his core that he was one with those who he was supposedly killing, do you think he would kill them? I don't think he would. So what happens to us is that when we're in a dream state of believing that we're awake and we're literally walking around, and that's how people do hurtful things to other people because they're in a life that they believe that we're separate from one another. A question for us, just answer this question. If we are one with our Creator, does that mean everybody's one with our Creator? If anybody's one with our Creator, does it mean everybody's one with our Creator? Or is there someone who disagrees with me on that? You could go ahead. If any of us on here is one with our Creator, if any of us on here is one with our Creator, does that mean that all of us are one with our Creator? You could unmute and tell me, or put your answer in the chat. If any of us is one with the Creator, okay, so Milka doesn't. Thank you very much. That means that there are people who are not one with the Creator. Okay, all right. So can any of us on the planet not be, if any of us is one, so if I'm one with the Creator, does it mean that everybody on the planet is one with the Creator? Or there are people on the planet that is not one with our Creator?
What I can say is one who is with the Creator is the one, everybody is with the Creator, but the one who is with the Creator is the one who is aware. And these other people, they are not aware that we are with the Creator, but the Creator is there anyway. Whether you recognize or you don't recognize him, is there.
All right. So it is, let's use the word aware and also compare, just use the word aware and the word asleep. So the person who is not aware that the Creator is in them, the one who is not aware that the Creator is giving them breath, giving them life, allowing them to move around, that one is asleep. Now the one who is, because when you're asleep, you're not aware of something. You're not aware that something exists. So what is happening is that a Putin and people who behave like him, because people behave like Putin in a smaller level. Some people do it in their community, you know, to their neighbors and their friends, what he's doing to people in another country. So those individuals are sleeping, dreaming they're awake, because they're hurting someone that's one with them, but they do not realize that they are one with them. Because it is a function of becoming aware that we're all one with the Creator. Now, once we become aware that we're one with the Creator, why would we want to hurt another? Because it's the same as hurting ourselves. And those people like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, and Martin Luther King that became aware, they did not seek to hurt in the process of moving humanity forward. They did not seek to go and lead a violent revolution to kill off other people, because they realized that what they're setting themselves up for of sowing something that would come back on them and on generations to come, that they would have to deal with the consequences of the actions that they push out towards others. So the idea of being aware versus being asleep, it's really important to look at it from a personal perspective, because we're fleshing it out and opening it up on a global scale in terms of trying to just make the comparison between someone who is deeply asleep, like Putin, going around killing off other people in 2022. Okay, if he was in the dark ages, I could understand. But in 2022, he still believes that he needs to kill people in our country to protect people in his country and protect himself. So that is called megalomania. His ego has gone crazy. Now, when you look at the on a personal level, what's the value of this? What's the purpose of us considering the idea of being asleep versus being awake? And let me give you some less examples of being asleep. If you believe that you could, does anybody, let me ask us, because it's important for us to dialogue, right? Do you believe that you could lose anything, right? Do you believe you could lose something? You could unmute, tell me if you think you could lose something. All right, nobody wants to answer that one. Tell me if
you can lose something.
Robert, you can lose something. Thank you, Robert.
If you're not aware that it's there, you can lose it because you're asleep to it and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so you could lose something. Thank you for that. All right. Does anybody here want more blessings? Put a 1 in the chat if you want more blessings. Answer me and say yes if you do. All right. Anybody on here wants more blessings? Yes, Cola. Anybody else? Right? She wants more. Is anybody else who wants more? Yes, Abigail, she wants more. Anybody else wants more? You could put a yes.
I want more blessings.
Milka says yes. I hope so. Anybody else wants more? Abigail wants more. Milka wants more. Scola wants more. Anybody else wants more?
Robert wants
Jane
more.
wants more. 2 yeses from Jane. All right. All right. So here's the thing about if you want something, does it mean you do not have it? Please answer me. If you want something, does it therefore mean you do not have it? Right. So Annette says yes, she wants more. But could you answer me? If you want more of something.
No. Nope.
No for you, Mark. If you want more of something, doesn't mean you do not have it. If you want more, I'm saying, if you want more, does it therefore mean, I'm not sure what you're saying no to do, Mark.
Yeah, I'm saying no. I'm saying to you.
I have it, but I want more than I want more than I have.
So once you want more, it means that something is missing. Because the only way you could want more is if you don't have. Because if you have something already, there's no point in wanting what you already have, because you already have it. So the only way to want more is if you don't have first. To me, that's pretty logical that if we're going to want more of something, it must mean that we do not have something, or we're not aware that we have it, but therefore we believe we need more of it. Am I incorrect in assuming this, or is there anyone in agreement? Go ahead, Wole.
The way you are.
Wole wants to unmute. Give him a chance to jump in. Wole is a friend of mine from Lagos.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone.
Let's welcome Wole to the conversation, guys. Wole jumped on here for the first time. He's a very good friend of mine from Lagos.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So if I have something, it doesn't mean I can't want more. I'll give you an example. Currently, I have 100 trucks, but I'm looking forward to getting to 1,000 trucks. So I currently have trucks, but I want more trucks. So it doesn't mean I don't have it. Now, I have good health, but I want a super good health. So I have 1 pack, but I want 6 packs. So you wanting more doesn't mean you do not have already, but it's just the crave for expansion, the crave for growth, which is human anyway. That's my thinking.
Thank you, Wole. Thank you, Wole.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cool. So warming up the discussion a bit there, right? Anyone else wants to jump in on that? Because we need to, we're going somewhere with this, and we're going to get something great out of this conversation, I believe, about being awake and being asleep. Because the context of it is to be, what's the value of choosing to become someone who wants to wake up versus someone who wants to continue sleeping? And it has profound implications for our lives. So that's where the conversation is headed. So thank you very much for that contribution, Wole, and the reference to having more of the physical things in life and then wanting more. So we're going to go now a little deeper, and we asked about blessings. We asked about blessings as opposed to the manifestation. All right, we'll come to that. Because whenever we move from 100 trucks, 200 trucks, we feel like I'm more blessed, right? Whenever we're having a body with a health challenge and it's not working right and it's not working right, we feel like we get a blessing, because blessing is the bestowing of more life. So we always feel more blessed when things working according to how we'd like. But whenever things are not working according to how we would like, we'll probably think, oh, that's not, I don't feel blessed. So when we want more blessings, what is that saying? Does it mean that, when we say we want more blessings, what are you really saying? Somebody to tell me, because if you want more blessings, it therefore means that you feel like you don't have enough blessings right now because you want more. And if you want more of something, it must first mean that at some level you feel like you don't have, right? Is my logical reasoning and statement in alignment? Is anybody disagreeing with me? Or is there somebody out there who disagrees with me? That if you feel like you need more blessings, it means that you don't have it. That's why you want more. Because the only way you can want more is if you don't have it. You don't have enough trucks, you want more. You don't feel like it's where it should be, you want super health. So therefore, it must mean that you're feeling like you don't have in order to want more. Am I correct or am I incorrect? Please unmute and tell me somebody. I'm waiting. Anybody jump in? There's no good or bad answer. There's no right or wrong. We're communicating here as friends, right? So what is it? Am I right? And in terms of my perspective compared to your perspective, go ahead again, Wole.
Good afternoon once again, everyone. So what we define as blessing, or we consider blessing, is an intangible, invisible thing. So I consider myself blessed. However, what we want more from blessing is the physical manifestation of that blessing in form of money, in form of cars, in form of houses, in form of material things. Now, what we see as being blessed in literal terms are those physical things that people can see. Now, some people, once we see the kind of car they drive, the kind of business they manage, even if they don't have physical cash, we consider them rich, which in turn means they are blessed. Now, not all rich people are blessed. I must say that. You can be rich, but not be blessed. So, when we say we want more of the blessings, it means we want more of riches. So that's my understanding. But until we stop seeing physical things as a form of blessing, then we would have seen ourselves as being blessed. That's my point, Doctor.
Thank you very much for jumping in.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
Here's the thing, right? About being asleep, versus being awake. Now, what are the qualities that we need to be able to build a successful business? What are the qualities that we need to have a better relationship? What are the qualities that we need to be able to actually have a healthy, strong physical body? What are the qualities that we need to be more effective in our community and make it better? Some of you unmute and tell me some of the qualities that we need to have in order to be successful or feel blessed in those areas. Somebody tell me, unmute and tell me, what are the qualities we need to have? Go ahead, Abigail.
Yeah, to me, the qualities I could say we need to have is to know that our Creator is there. So we need to meditate. We need to surrender ourselves to our Creator. He says, surrender. And once we surrender, we seek Him first. Then these other things will follow.
All right, thank you for that perspective. So anyone else wants to jump in there in terms of qualities? Because the question I was asking though is what are the qualities that we need to have? Because you're talking about the process of acquiring those qualities, but what I want to hear are the qualities. So if you're going to be someone who performs better on a job to get a promotion, so you can have more money and be able to manifest, as Wole spoke about, the new car, the new home, the better this, the better that. Mark, you want to go ahead?
Yes, sir. So one of the things that I would definitely want to do is to be more committed and to be more thankful, to show gratitude. These are just some of the things that definitely would be required so that one could develop qualities to do such.
Yes, thank you. So let's look at our relationship. What if you have a difficult spouse? What quality do you need to be able to get along with a difficult spouse? Somebody tell me.
Patience.
I could say patience, love, and kindness.
Right. So those qualities would make the relationship better. Now, if you're able to get along with your spouse better, would you feel more blessed?
Yes.
Right. If your business is, if you have to grow a better business, what are the qualities we need to grow a better business? What are the qualities? Unmute and tell me, what are the qualities you're going to need in order to be a better boss to your employees? What are the qualities you're going to need to get up every day and perform well, you know, and to do well so that you can actually manifest more results in your business? What are some of the qualities that we need? Somebody unmute. Go ahead, Mark.
So if you have a business, you know, whether it be a Fortune 500 or whatever, you have to be loyal to your business. You have to be loyal to the people that you employ. They have to be able to have trust and confidence in you. And you have to be able to help with even their self-development. You have to help develop them so that they can actually perform and benefit the business.
So I saw words like dedication. I saw words like commitment in the chat a while ago, right? And I heard you talk about loyalty and, you know, developing oneself. So it is certain intangible, I'm hearing words that describe intangible qualities that we need to be successful. Patience in a relationship, kindness, you know, being forgiving, right? Strong vision, Lawrence, right? So these are intangible qualities, love, you know, to be able to function effectively. So what happens is that whenever we say we want more blessings, what we really are missing is that we are not going to where more comes from. And we're, okay, I want more blessings, but that is not what we should want more of. Because the more, which is, if you're in agreement with Wole's description of more, is the manifestation that we're looking at. But something happens before the manifestation. And for you to work towards building a bigger business, moving from 100 trucks to 200 trucks, being able to manage 200 drivers, I'm saying, or, you know, being able to be more effective and functional, what we need first, we need something first before we're going to be able to do those things. And that's where being asleep versus being awake comes in. Because when you're asleep to these qualities, your patience, your joy, your love, you know, your strength to be able to continue to be committed, you know, these are areas of ourselves and the qualities that we have within ourselves that when you're sleeping, you're not aware of them. And you need to, you know, not you as in I'm not talking to you in that sense of the word, but we need to wake up to these qualities. We need to wake up to them. And once those qualities start to become more active in us, we're going to feel more empowered to be able to go out and do the things that will result in more blessings showing up in our lives. So whenever we feel like we don't have enough of something, what that means is that we are not mature within to feel the quality we need. Let me use a very simple example. Let's say your work, has anybody ever felt overwhelmed? Like, you know, you got a new job, or you got a, you know, you have a loved one trying to take care of, plus you have a job trying to go to, or you have a business trying to build, or as soon as you're trying to get into a new business alongside the one you currently have, or start something new, you know, you feel overwhelmed. Has anybody ever felt overwhelmed before? Unmute and tell me yes or no. Is no is okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Kola. So that feeling of being overwhelmed, right? Of feeling overwhelmed, it means that there's too much pressure on us at that moment, right? Many times Wallace says he's felt overwhelmed, right? So what happens is that whenever we feel overwhelmed, what does it mean at that stage? It means that we don't have enough strength to deal with what we're dealing with. Is that correct? When we feel overwhelmed, it means that we do not have enough strength to deal with what we're dealing with, right? So we need more strength to be able to deal with what we're dealing with. Now, the question then is, how do we acquire more strength? How do we acquire more peace to deal with a relationship that's challenging? How do you acquire more tolerance to deal with, you know, a difficult situation that you're faced with? How do we acquire the ability to remain more committed? So that's the issue. How do we acquire those qualities? Because that's really what we need to be able to overcome the feeling of being overwhelmed, to be able to grow our business and succeed and do even better than we're doing right now. So the question comes back to what Abigail I guess, broke into earlier as to how we can move. And that's where the idea of being asleep versus being awake comes in. Now, when you're asleep, what is happening is that those qualities of more strength, right? More strength that you have. Do we have access to infinite strength? Do we have access to it? Tell me yes or tell me no. Do we have access to infinite strength? Can you keep working even without food for days? Right? Where does the energy come from to keep doing and keep doing and keep doing and keep doing? And while some people, they'll collapse very quickly, right? Wale says, no, we don't have access to infinite strength. All right. All right. Okay. All right. I hear you, Wale. All right. Let me remove the word infinite. Who has access to unlimited energy? Does your energy ever run out? Somebody tell me, does your energy ever run out? Does your energy ever run dry and there's no more energy? And you have to, what do you do to get more energy? What do you do to feel re-energized? All right, tell me somebody, right? When you run out of energy, right? What is it that can allow you to continue to work? Because I've been running 16-hour days for about 8 months right now, right? And, my physical body sometimes feel exhausted, but I have energy. Anytime I need it, I have energy. Energy is like always there. If I need to jump on a Zoom and do a Zoom, even though I feel physically exhausted, I open myself up and boom, I'm able to do it. For you, it's eating, Abigail. Right. You can feel re-energized. Wole, you want to go ahead? You raise your hand again, or it was up from before. Robert, go ahead, Robert.
There's a scripture that says, he that runneth in a race runneth all, but only one receiveth the prize. So run that you might obtain. So he said, so what he's saying there is, he that runneth in a race run all. In other words, there's a lot of people running in the race, but only one is going to receive the prize. So run, do the best that you can, just so you can win. He that runneth in the race runneth all, but only one receiveth the prize. So run, that you might obtain, that you might win, that you might doing all, when he said run like that, you're doing all that you can do, the best that you can do, everything that you can do in order to win that race. That's the one that's going to receive the prize.
All right, thank you for that. All right, so going back to the idea of being asleep and awake. Thank you. Scholar, you wanted to jump in? You wanted to say something about running out of energy? I saw somebody put in the chat a while ago. I just need to read that one. Running out of energy as well. Let me see what that person put here. That was a nice comment in the chat. Go ahead. Scholar, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I could say you can feel exhausted in with multiple tasks that you are going through, but if you keep going, you won't run out of energy. You just have to keep going, because for example, today I'm so happy that Kipchoge won again. He broke his what do you call it? He won again anyway. He's a world marathon runner. Again, he won again today, and I'm so happy about him. And if we gave up, or keeping on going, he could have not won. So if you are having multiple tasks and you're feeling that you are going to run out of energy, do not stop. Keep going. Keep going. That's what I could say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. So here's the deal about the idea of awake versus asleep. Now, when we're asleep to more strength, when we're asleep to more joy, more peace, right? What we do is that we argue with our spouse. When we're asleep, we end up arguing. We end up fighting. We end up wanting to hurt another the way they hurt us. That's being asleep. To, you know, what Putin is doing to other people is being asleep. He's not awake to a higher dimension of himself that would allow for him to have more peace of mind, more joy, more love, more kindness, more forgiveness. You know, these are qualities that we are unaware of when we're sleeping. And when we wake up, we start to become aware of these qualities that are there. We start to feel more blessed because those qualities are what we need to be able to manifest the things that we're trying to achieve. So what it comes down to at the end of the day is that you could examine your own life. When somebody says something hurtful to you, what is your response? Are you able to respond with kindness and gentleness when somebody hurts you? And I was giving the example of Martin Luther King when during the civil rights movement. And just unmute and tell me, what would have been your response to a reaction to that situation that he found himself in? He went into a restaurant, and in that day, Blacks were not allowed to eat in the same restaurants with white people back in the 60s when the civil rights movement was going on. And, you know, Martin Luther King and James L. Carver, they went into this restaurant to have a meal, and a white man came up and, you know, brought up some cold from his chest, you know, like coughed up the cold, right, from his chest and spat it on Martin Luther King, and it landed on his jacket right here, right? So tell me, unmute and tell me, just be honest. Don't try to be, you know, sounding all goody two shoes on here. Just unmute and tell me, what would you do in that situation? What was the first thought that came to your mind, or the first emotion that came to your mind? If you were in that situation, what would you do in light of that?
Just stand up and give him a very hard.
I'll take off all the shoes and you know, blast on them.
So take off the shoes and slap him, right? Go ahead, somebody else. Anybody else? All right, so you would slap him with your shoe, you would get up and...
I was saying that you hold your hand and put it together and give him a very hard one.
A good slap. All right, anyone else wants to say
what did Chris Rock do when what's his name, Will Smith slapped him? What did he do?
I don't remember what happened on stage, but I know something went on there. That was so guess what Martin Luther King did, right? He had a hanky, you know, those pocket pieces that you put inside your jacket pocket, man. And he took it out and he actually folded it together. In fact, he took it out and he scraped up all the spit and everything into the towel, and then he folded it together neatly, and then he gave it to the white gentleman and said, "Excuse me, sir, but I think this belongs to you." That was a genius way of insulting the gentleman without actually, retaliating. Now, what gives Martin Luther King the strength to be able to forgive in the face of something so ridiculous is that he's what's called being awake. He's not asleep. Because what happens is that when we're sleeping, we're only in tune with our human self that wants to hit back, that wants to protect, that wants to, defend, that wants to protect the nation, protect the people. It's an ego that always tries to protect. Anyone that's feeling like you have to protect yourself, you're feeling like you need to pray to your creator for protection, it means that you're living at a human level. If you feel like you need to pray for protection, if you feel like you can be hurt, you feel like you can be endangered. Because what happens is that when you're aware and awake to your spiritual nature, you're no longer worried about the physical body going away eventually. You're no longer worried about what people say and are going to say. You're not afraid to go after your dreams and your goals. You're not afraid to get up every day and chase down what's important to you in manifesting your dreams and goals. You're someone who is alive and awake and aware. Now, being awake compared to being asleep, here's the benefit of being awake compared to being asleep. Because when you're asleep and you're worried about stuff and you have concerns and you're living a life of being afraid that this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and you're living to protect that life, you're not awake. You're asleep in that small sense of self. When you wake up from that small sense of self, what happens now is that you become aware of qualities like love and peace and joy. And those qualities become active in you. You become someone who is easy to be consistent and persistent. Someone who can easily work under your own self-control. You're someone who can be tolerant. And even if you're in a relationship where your spouse is not the nicest spouse to you, you're still able to be forgiving and kind and gentle. And as your spouse matures and both of you mature together, the relationship becomes better and better. But if both of you are asleep and end up fighting and quarreling, and the relationship breaks apart. And that's what happened in being asleep versus being awake. So for us, it means that we should invest time and energy in waking up. And waking up happens through 7 practices that you've heard me mention before. Getting into the fellowship with the right group of people. Selfless service, that's number 6. Number 7 is fellowship with the right people. 6 is selfless service, being kind and going out into the community and being given. 5 is life visioning. We need to talk about that one. 4 is high-minded conversations that we have begun here. And it's gelling, and we're going to continue our high-minded conversations so we can come up higher. And 4 is high-minded conversation I just mentioned. And 3 is spiritual study. What books are you reading? And if you need some guidance on finding some great books, just send me a message and I'll help you in that area if you need a book. There are many out there. And then 2 is affirmative prayer. Are you speaking affirmatively? Are you declaring and announcing things in a way that lift you up and continue to lift others up? And then 1 is silent meditation. If you do number 1 and you kind of wobble with the rest, you're gonna grow into being awake. If you do the other 6 and you do not do number 1, you're gonna struggle towards becoming awake. Becoming awake means to become aware. Awake means to be aware of what we have and we do not know that we have it. The strength to continue going, even when you do not feel like you have the strength to continue going, is there. But we need that feeling of being overwhelmed to draw on that inner strength that's there. But here's the rub, and I'll tell you this based on experience. For those who do not practice silent meditation, you will delay yourself having access to the strength. You delay yourself having access to the inner peace and the joy, that you can feel, that will allow for you to be able to function in situations that normally you'd feel overwhelmed by. And the way to collapse that and get that out of your way is to go and tap into that inner fountain, that inner well, where everything comes from. Everything comes from inside out. I won't have time to dive into that today because I have to jump off of here before 11. I have a meeting that I have to get into. But hopefully our conversation today, allowed us to start to understand what does it mean for people to be asleep. People are sleeping. What they're doing is that they are walking asleep, dreaming they're awake. That's the 99% of human beings who identify themselves as only human beings. They are not awake to the spirit that they are. They're not aware of it. They know about it. They heard about it. They read about it, but they're not aware of it. When you're not aware of the spirit as your identity, you are living a life as a human and you have an idea or a belief about that. Now, when you become aware of it, when you're awake to it, you're no longer sleeping. And the way in which you behave will be completely different. The choices that you have and the way you could respond are different. And that's what gave a Nelson Mandela, a Gandhi, a Martin Luther King, a Jesus, the opportunity to be able to respond with kindness in the face of extremely difficult situations. And each and every one of us eventually will wake up to that same quality as well. And we'll have the same way that Jesus functioned, Buddha, all of these gentlemen and women, Mother Teresa, who goes down into some of the worst places in the world where people are, living in destitute poverty and goes there to feed and take care of people with a loving heart. All of us have the capacity to do that, and we'll become awake to those qualities you know, where you'll be, oh man, I couldn't do that. Yes, you can, and you'll become awake to it eventually. So with that said, guys, that's our conversation for today. We need to bless each other and jump off of here. And at the end of our conversations, for those who jump on here for the first time, we say, I bless you and your life is magnificent. And we do that to help to remind ourselves how magnificent we are and remind ourselves in affirmatively stating that. And we say it to others as well so that we can bring up the highest and best in others and we can all mature and blossom and bloom and flourish together. All right, which is what we're going to do here. So please, if you'd be so kind, find 5 persons on the line. It would be a great idea if you did it in your community, you walked around where you live and you just say, maybe in your home or maybe you go to your neighbor and say, I bless you and your life is magnificent. They'll be like, what?
I bless you, Sequoia, and your life
I
is
bless you,
magnificent.
Dr. Hardy. Your
I
life
bless
is
you, Dr.
I
Harry. I
bless
magnificent.
you,
God
bless you,
bless
Ken.
you,
Sarah.
Your life is
Mary. Your life is
magnificent. I
God bless you,
bless
Dr.
magnificent.
you,
Harry. Your life
Ken.
I
is
bless
Your
you,
life
magnificent.
is
God
Annette.
bless you,
Your
Abigail.
life
magnificent.
Your
I
is
life
bless
is
you,
magnificent.
Milka.
magnificent.
I
Your
bless
life
I
you,
is
bless you,
Faith.
Annette.
Your
Milka,
life
magnificent.
your
is
Your
I
life
life
bless
is
is
you,
magnificent. God
magnificent.
magnificent.
bless
I
Bless
you,
you,
bless
Tony.
you,
Your
Harry.
life is
Robert.
Your life
Your
is
Jane,
life
magnificent.
is
and
magnificent.
your
I
life
bless
is
Dr.
magnificent.
you,
Mark,
I
Mark.
bless
magnificent.
you,
Your
Your
Scholar.
life
life
Your
is
is
life is
magnificent.
magnificent.
Mark,
I
magnificent.
bless
I
you,
bless
your life
you,
is
your
Jen.
life is
Your life
magnificent.
is
magnificent.
Your
I
life is
bless
magnificent.
you,
magnificent.
I
Annette.
I
bless
bless
you,
you,
Bless
Your
Magnificent.
Robert.
life
Your
is
life
you,
is
Bless you,
magnificent.
Dan.
magnificent.
Your life is
I
Joyness.
bless
More or
you,
less,
Your
magnificent.
more or
life
less,
is
more or less, more or less.
Charlie.
magnificent.
Your
I
life
Your
is
bless
life
you,
is
magnificent.
Flora.
I
Your
magnificent.
life
bless
is
you,
God
love.
bless you.
magnificent.
Your
Your
I
life
life
is
is
bless you,
magnificent. God
magnificent.
Lawrence.
bless
I
you,
Your life
bless
Stuart
is
you
Davis.
all.
Your
magnificent.
life
Your
is
life
I
is
bless
magnificent.
you,
magnificent.
God bless
Rory.
you,
Your
Bless
life
Laura.
you,
is
Your life is
Milka.
magnificent.
Your
magnificent.
life
God
I
is
bless you,
bless
Hold.
magnificent.
you.
Amen and
Lucian.
amen
Your
and
life is
amen.
magnificent. God bless you, everyone. Your life is magnificent.
I
Awesome.
bless you, Milka. Your life is magnificent.
And
I bless
amen,
you, David.
everyone.
Your David. Your life is magnificent. I bless you, everyone. Your life is magnificent. Amen.
Amen.
Amen to that. Take it up higher. Go and find a stranger today, right? And go to them and say, I bless you. And your life is magnificent.
Bless you all. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.